Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. The title of my speech today is A Roadmap to Achieve a Successful, Satisfying Career. A roadmap, a roadmap is a guide to get you to where you are, from where you are to where you want to be. In this case, where we want to be is to have a successful, satisfying career. If the road to a successful, satisfying career looked like this, if it was a straight road that went straight to your goal of a satisfying career, it would be easy. You just would go step by step up the road until you got to your goal. If the road to a successful, satisfying career looked like this, it would be easy. Everyone would have a successful, satisfying career. Everyone would be rich and famous. There'd be no competition. Everyone would get along. There'd be world peace. Wouldn't that be great? Well, unfortunately, the road to a successful, satisfying career does not look like this. It looks more like this. It's a road filled with forks. We have to make choices as to which direction to go. It's a road filled with mountains and hills. It's filled with twists and turns and curves. Also, there are many roadblocks, obstacles, and detours on your path to a successful, satisfying career. Some of the roadblocks, obstacles, and detours you might see on your road to a successful, satisfying career are these people. They are the pessimists who are always telling you that you can't do anything right and you'll never get to where you want to get. You're going to face rejection sometimes on your way to your successful, satisfying career, and you can't let that stop you. Some of your friends and relatives might be jealous and won't be helpful on your road to your goal of a successful, satisfying career. Your own ego, your pride, your own arrogance will get in your way. Then, of course, there are the haters. Haters going to hate. You got to avoid these people as much as possible. Society. Unfortunately, in many areas of society, discrimination exists, and you can't let that stop you. Some people may try to make you feel guilty for wanting to be successful and wanting to have nice things in life. You can't let those people get in your way. The fear of failure, the doubt, your self-doubt, these are obstacles. Your supervisors may be creating a toxic work environment. You can't let them stop you from getting to your ultimate goal of a successful, satisfying career. With all the different choices, with all the roadblocks, obstacles, and detours, some people, when they see that the road to a successful, satisfying career is complicated, they get discouraged. They say, forget about it. I'm not even going to bother. With all the choices, with all the roadblocks, obstacles, detours, how do you find your way? How do you find your way to a successful, satisfying career? Today, I'm going to talk about my journey on my successful, satisfying career. And on my journey, I can identify 4 factors that have helped me choose my path and avoid the roadblocks, obstacles, and detours. Those 4 factors on my road to a successful, satisfying career are determination of the career you like and the career you are good at. Unfortunately, they're not always the same thing. Consideration of the pros and cons of the choices that are presented to you. Advice, both good and bad, from your parents, friends, mentors, and counselors, and luck. At the end of my presentation, I'm going to give you a mnemonic that'll help you remember these 4 variables. The first step on my road to a successful, satisfying career occurred when I was a sophomore in high school. I was a student at the Brooklyn Technical High School in New York, which is a magnet school for math and science. This is a picture of the school. It's a very large school, over 10 stories, and at any point in time, there are over 6,000 students in the building. When I applied to Brooklyn Tech, boys from all over the city would apply, and only those with the highest scores were accepted. I say boys because Brooklyn Tech was an all boys school at the time. Over the next few years, they started accepting girls, and now it's completely co ed. Here's a picture of myself when I was a student at Brooklyn Tech. I wish I can grow my hair like that again. Wow, it's pretty thin right now. And I can't explain to you what was going on with this shirt, but I guess it was the style at the time. My best friend at Brooklyn Tech was Victor Boyd. Victor and I would hang out all the time and usually talk about the two most important things in life for 16-year-old boys at the time, which were sports and girls, not necessarily in that order. We didn't have the internet, we didn't have video games, we didn't have TikTok. So these were the two most important topics for us. My friend Victor loved sports and he was a gifted athlete. I love sports as well, but I wasn't that good at them. I tried out for every team and I was rejected by everyone. I finally was accepted onto the track team. I'd like to tell you that this was me at the front of the race, but I was usually at the back, if not the last person in every race. After a few months, the coaches on the track team figured out I wasn't that fast, and I got kicked off the team. I was so embarrassed and humiliated when I got kicked off. I thought I was a total failure. Well, I wasn't as bad as this guy, but I was pretty bad. After I got kicked off the team, amazingly, my grades started to skyrocket, probably because I had more time to study. Hmm, more studying equals higher grades. What a concept. Why didn't I think of this before? My friend Victor, he wasn't into the more studying thing. He wanted to be a professional football player. Brooklyn Tech had a terrible football team, so he decided that he was going to transfer to his local high school that had a good team. I went to visit him there, and he said, Jonathan, you have to transfer to this school. There are so many pretty girls here. I looked around, and he was right. Wow, I thought, I hate going to all boys school. I am so transferring. I told my mother I wanted to transfer. I didn't tell her why. I wasn't that stupid. My mother was having none of that. No way, she said. You are at the best school for math and science, and I want you to be a doctor one day. So you're not going anywhere. Forget about it. Period. End of story. No more discussion on this matter. Thank goodness my mother wouldn't let me transfer. Who knows where I'd be today? I certainly wouldn't be a doctor talking to you guys today. The next step on my road to my successful, satisfying career occurred when I was a junior in high school. I discovered that I had a natural aptitude for math and science. I was good at it. I liked it. I went to my school guidance counselors for career advice, and they suggested that I consider the fields of engineering or medicine. I liked both fields, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a doctor. When I thought about the pros and cons of each field, it occurred to me that having an engineering degree would give me more options. The way I figured it, if I went into medicine and didn't like it, it might be difficult to switch to another profession. Alternatively, if I went into engineering and didn't like it, it would be easier for me to switch to other professions such as medicine, computer science, business, or law. I decided to pursue an engineering degree. In retrospect, that was pretty good reasoning for a 17-year-old kid. Much better reasoning than I was doing with my 16-year-old brain that was obsessed with sports and girls. I applied to engineering schools and I was accepted to a school in upstate New York with a partial scholarship. I was also put on the waiting list for a full scholarship to Columbia University, which had one of the best engineering schools in the country. About a week before I was scheduled to report to the upstate school, I got a call from Columbia telling me that one of the full scholarship students had dropped out at the last minute and that I was next on the list. Good luck intervened to change my path. And I was off to Columbia for the next 4 years. The next step in my road to a successful, satisfying career occurred when I was a sophomore at the Columbia School of Engineering. Here's a picture of me when I was a young engineering school student, and I look very studious here, but it wasn't all hard work and studying. We also had some fun when we were not studying in the dorms. And here's a picture of me and my friend Mario fooling around the dorms. We weren't really smoking and drinking. We were just trying to look cool. And here's a picture of us 40 years later. My friend Mario is now a successful actor and film director. And as you can see, one of the few disadvantages of having a successful, satisfying career in aging is that you start losing all your hair. Now, getting back to my sophomore year in engineering school, I was getting good grades, but I really wasn't excited about my engineering program. I decided I was going to see what the medical field was like by doing some volunteer work at a local hospital, but I wasn't crazy about that either. It really wasn't what I had expected. There were all these sick people there. There was all this blood and terrible smells. It really wasn't what I expected. It was at that time that I met a doctor who had become an important mentor in my life. I'll call him Dr. X. Dr. X was a psychiatrist, a very successful psychiatrist, or so he seemed. I was immediately impressed by his lavish, opulent lifestyle. He wore the finest clothes. He ate at all the fancy restaurants. He always carried around plenty of cash, which he spent like water, making it rain. He knew all the rich and famous people in New York, and they idolized him. He was a celebrity. He was half doctor, half rock star. He had not one, but two Mercedes-Benz cars. He lived in a mansion with his beautiful wife and his two adorable children. He had it all, the American dream. He told me I should forget about this engineering crap and go to medical school so I could be like him. I would never have to worry about money and I could have everything I wanted in life like he did. Well, it seemed like a no-brainer to me at the time. I didn't see any engineers living like this. The promise of fortune and fame was irresistible. Doctorland, here I come. I applied to medical schools, and with my engineering degree and good grades, I stood out from the other applicants. Most of the applicants in medical school were biology majors. I was accepted to 6 medical schools. I chose Harvard. Who wouldn't? Here's a picture of me at my graduation from Harvard Medical School, and next to me is my grandfather, who was about 90 years old at the time. And my grandfather used to brag to whoever would listen how he immigrated from the Caribbean and his first job was as a waiter in the Harvard Medical School diner. And now his grandson is a Harvard medical student. He loved telling that American family success story. After graduating from Harvard, I returned to New York for my medical internship and residency training with Dr. X, encouraging and coaching me all the way. We usually spoke at least once a week. Then something changed. A few months went by and I didn't hear from him at all. I called his wife, who gave me some terrible news. She told me that he had terminal cancer and he only had a few months to live. I went to see him, and that's when I learned the truth about Dr. X. He didn't have cancer. He had terminal AIDS. AIDS was a terminal disease in those days. It was like the early days of COVID. There was no treatment for it. I also learned that he wasn't the great family man with the perfect family. He had lived a secret promiscuous life and had had multiple extramarital affairs. That's how he contracted AIDS. The fancy cars, the clothes, the house, they were all bought on credit. He had amassed a mountain of debt that his wife was now burdened with. When I found out who he really was, my hopes and dreams of becoming a rock star doctor were shattered. What I thought was the road to paradise turned out to be a dead end. I was devastated. I had reached the lowest point of my life. I almost quit. It was at that time that I met the next important mentor in my life. I'll call him Dr. Y. Dr. Y was the complete opposite of Dr. X. He was an altruistic man who cared much more about others than himself. He led a simple life, no fancy clothes or cars. He spent most of his extra time working in his garden. He had an excellent bedside manner with his kind, compassionate, empathetic personality. He loved taking care of his patients, and his patients adored him. His example made me realize that I had wanted to be a doctor for all the wrong reasons. He showed me how a doctor's most important roles were to diagnose the diseases that afflict our patients, change the natural history of those diseases, and to give comfort, to ease the pain and suffering for our patients who are in their final days. In summary, I believe that we can all successfully achieve a successful, satisfying career by considering the four factors I've talked about today. Determination. Determine as early as you can the career you like that is most compatible with your best natural skills and abilities. Choosing a career that you'll never be good at can only lead to years of disappointment and wasted time and money. My friend Victor, the football player, he was a star on his high school football team, but he wasn't good enough to get a college football scholarship. Since he never paid much attention to his grades, he couldn't get an academic scholarship. He ended up joining the Army, and I lost track of him after that. Consideration. When faced with multiple options, carefully consider the pros and cons of each option before proceeding ahead. Advice. Listen with a critical ear to the words of your advisors. Don't be swayed by false promises of fortune and fame. And do listen to your parents. They usually have your best interests at heart. Don't succumb to peer pressure. Your friends are usually thinking about what's best for them and not what's best for you. And finally, luck. Prepare yourself with the best skills and credentials so you'll be ready when the lucky opportunity of a lifetime comes your way. Determination, consideration, advice, luck. DCAL, decal. Decal is mnemonic to remember these four factors. Decal was my roadmap to achieve a successful, satisfying career. It worked for me, and it can work for you as well. The end.